In the series finale of The Clone Wars, the final scene shows Darth Vader traveling to the moon where the Venator carrying Ahsoka, Rex, and the clone troopers of the 501st Legion had crashed at some point earlier while traveling from Mandalore to Coruscant. Eventually, while examining what remained of the capital ship, Vader would locate the lightsaber that previously belonged to Ahsoka, given to her by Anakin Skywalker, ultimately turning and taking the weapon with him. Given this scene, and the reveal in Season 2 of the Rebels TV series with Vader acknowledging, quote, "The apprentice lives," we can assume that at this point, Vader believed that Ahsoka died at the end of the Clone War, a fact he would believe until they confronted each other again more than a decade later. However, based upon what we know within the current canon lore, the conclusion made by Darth Vader and the Empire that Ahsoka was removed from the galaxy through Order 66 or shortly afterwards wasn't as simple as Vader finding Ahsoka's lightsaber and then the Sith Lord reporting his findings to the Empire. In this video, I want to look at what Vader and the Empire thought happened to Ahsoka after Order 66, how their initial conclusions were likely changed by Vader's mission that found Ahsoka's lightsaber, and then point out a few more interesting elements from the canon lore that built up to the confrontation between Vader and Ahsoka in Rebels. From the 2017 Darth Vader comic, we know that Vader finding Ahsoka's lightsaber did not happen in the earliest days or even weeks of the Imperial era. Further, we know that the first conclusion by the Empire, and likely Vader as well, was that Ahsoka survived Order 66 and was hiding somewhere in the galaxy. Vader's first mission in the immediate aftermath of Episode 3 was locating a Jedi who survived Order 66 so that he could take their lightsaber crystal and build his first Sith lightsaber with a red blade, which is what he did. However, when Vader returned from his first mission successful, he would very quickly be introduced to the Inquisitorius by Darth Sidious. Sidious explained the Inquisitorius project to Vader, with command of the Inquisitors being given to his apprentice, where Vader was to train them to find and eliminate any Jedi who remained within the galaxy, who for Sidious still threatened the Empire despite the destruction of their order. It's during one of the early training sessions Vader had with the Inquisitors where we see what the Empire and Vader first believed happened to Ahsoka following Order 66. After a brutal duel with an Inquisitor named the Sixth Brother, where after removing his arm, Vader implored him to get up and continue fighting, the Grand Inquisitor emerged, asking Vader what could be achieved by his actions. Vader replied that the Sixth Brother and all of the Inquisitors who'd also experienced the same consequences would learn the lesson of loss. At that point, Vader ended the training session and began speaking with the Grand Inquisitor. After Vader made it clear the skills of the Inquisitors were not yet adequate, but would be made so by the Sith Lord, they began focusing on the primary mission of the Inquisitors, which was locating and eliminating the Jedi who survived Order 66. To begin, Vader would start by noting the importance of a target list for the Jedi they would be searching for. However, the Grand Inquisitor then revealed the Emperor had already provided him and the Inquisitorius with such a list, where it named a group of Jedi who were presumed to survive Order 66 a high priority. Importantly for our video here, Ahsoka Tano's name is on that list, indicating that in the immediate aftermath of Order 66, the Empire and the Emperor didn't yet have proof of whether Ahsoka was still alive or not, presuming the former was true, and making her a top priority for the Inquisitors. Also important is the fact that this is the first time Vader had seen the list himself, surprised to find that such a list had been provided to the Inquisitors. With Vader looking at the list, which clearly showed the name of Ahsoka, along with other presumed Jedi who survived, Vader does not dispute the presumption for Ahsoka. Within the canon lore, this makes sense, as these scenes are occurring during the opening days and weeks of the Empire, where Vader has pretty much only obtained a crystal for his lightsaber and then was introduced to the Inquisitorius. If I had to predict the timeline for events here in canon, I would say it's very likely that Vader seeing this list produced by the Empire and the Emperor is before Vader finds Ahsoka's lightsaber and the Venator as seen in the Clone Wars finale. At this point, there's no reason not to presume that Ahsoka is still alive, and we have material within the lore that shows that this wasn't disputed by Vader, the Empire, or even the Emperor. However, something does clearly change this presumption for Vader and the Emperor. In Season 2 of the Rebels TV series, Vader and the Emperor discover Ahsoka lived, roughly 15 years after Order 66, with the Emperor being particularly surprised. I think this is where Vader's actions in the Clone Wars finale are important. Finding Ahsoka's lightsaber was likely the catalyst where Vader and the Empire now accepted the conclusion that she died in the crash, no longer being among the presumed Jedi who remained into the Imperial era. When I initially saw the scene of Vader in the finale, and then thinking about it a bit afterwards, I thought that Vader finding Ahsoka's lightsaber could have occurred a few years after Order 66. However, I don't think that such a long period of time passed between these events, and I could see Vader finding the lightsaber taking place only a few months after Order 66. I think there are a few elements within the canon lore that help put together the timeline in this way. Starting first with the Ahsoka novel, when the sixth brother would locate and confront Ahsoka roughly a little more than a year since the end of the Clone War, he gives no indication that he recognizes who she is, other than a former Jedi Padawan. The Inquisitor doesn't display any sense of achievement that he just located someone on the priority list provided by the Emperor himself, and he didn't respect her skills in the same way either, greatly underestimating her. It appears as though Ahsoka had long been removed from the priority list, where the sixth brother either never saw it there in the first place or simply moved on and began searching for other targets important to the Empire. But more important, I think, are the thoughts of Darth Vader. Within the novel Lords of the Sith, we see Vader carrying out a mission for the Empire on the planet of Ryloth, roughly 5 years since Order 66. As events unfolded with Vader approaching the planet, a memory from his past overwhelmed him, bringing him back to his missions above Ryloth during the Clone War. The memory involved a single name breaking through to confront Vader. This was the name of Ahsoka, remembering his actions as Anakin Skywalker. Vader focused on pushing the memory aside and continuing his mission for the Empire. But this scene demonstrates that 5 years after Order 66, Ahsoka is a distant memory for Vader, and I think it's clear not only was she no longer on the priority list of presumed Jedi survivors at that point, but it had been a long time since she'd been removed, no longer considered to be alive within the galaxy. Therefore, going back to our question for this video regarding what Vader and the Empire thought happened to Ahsoka after the Clone War, I think we can say this based upon the canon lore. Not yet knowing what the ultimate fate of the Venator carrying Ahsoka, Maul, and members of the 501st Legion was, the Empire and the Emperor presumed that she was alive in the immediate aftermath of Order 66. Vader had no reason to reject this presumption and likely believed it himself, until he interpreted finding the Venator and her lightsaber as confirmation Ahsoka died in the crash. With Vader reporting this to the Empire, she was removed from the priority list of the Inquisitors, with Ahsoka ultimately being forgotten by the Inquisitors and Vader as they focused on other Jedi who survived, where the sixth brother didn't recognize her about 1 year after Order 66, and her memory hardly even existing for Vader almost 5 years after Order 66. This would be the conclusion for Vader, the Emperor, and the Empire until Vader sensed Ahsoka was alive during Season 2 of Rebels, roughly 15 years after the end of the Clone War. Before ending the video, I just want to quickly note one more interesting aspect within the canon lore that shows it was possible for Vader to recognize that Ahsoka was still alive even after he found one of her lightsabers. In the final issue of the 2017 Darth Vader comic, we see Vader was able to construct his castle on Mustafar. With the help of the ancient Sith Lord Momin, the castle, in combination with the dark side locus contained within an ancient Sith cave beneath the castle, Vader was able to unlock a pathway to the dark side. 7 years after Order 66, Vader was ultimately able to successfully enter the portal, hoping to find Padme. As Vader began his journey to locate Padme, he began to hear words from his past, seeing exact visions of events that occurred during the life of Anakin. For example, Vader would hear the first time Padme told Anakin she loved him, with images spanning Anakin's entire life, such as Anakin pod racing, building C-3PO, meeting Padme and Palpatine for the first time, and his marriage on Naboo. As the visions continued and brought Anakin closer to his decision to join the Sith and Darkseid, he ultimately got to visions of Anakin and Ahsoka fighting together during the Clone War. However, Vader also saw a vision of the future, one that wouldn't occur for roughly another 9 years. Something that is depicted within the comic was very unique for him up to that point. Vader watched himself confront and duel Ahsoka in the temple on Malachor, as seen in Season 2 of Rebels, hearing them exchange words that would actually take place, and seeing exactly what their duel would look like. Importantly for our video, every vision experienced by Vader up to that point was something that already occurred during his lifetime, the event as it took place and was experienced by Anakin. We of course know the scene of Ahsoka still alive on Malachor confronting Vader was something that would actually take place. But given its proximity to the other visions witnessed by Vader, it's interesting to consider how Vader interpreted it, whether there was any part of him that might have thought Ahsoka could still be alive. Based upon the Rebels material, it's not likely Vader took it literally at that point. Otherwise, he probably would have attempted to locate her as a way to potentially find Obi-Wan, as he indicated was possible in Rebels. Given what we know from the Rebels TV series, Vader wouldn't have confirmation that, quote, the apprentice lives for another 8 years. However, it would be interesting to have a story in canon from Vader's point of view, where it's revealed what Vader thought about that specific vision shown to him on Mustafar. So there we have it, what Vader and the Empire thought happened to Ahsoka after Order 66. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for the Grand Inquisitor.